Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Molly with Robert and Molly Bees. I'm going to be going over refinishing this dresser from very start to finish. When I was filming refinishing this dresser, I was doing so in mind, keeping in mind a friend of mine who was wanting to refinish some side tables. So it's pretty detailed and it's a little long, but it's pretty informative if you're interested in painting furniture. I also will be posting a video about how to ship furniture because I'm shipping this to Miami and all of the things that go into that. So if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you like the video. Thanks. Okay, here's the dresser we started with. I got this off a marketplace. It is pressed particle board. Okay, first thing you're going to want to do, look at that stuff on me, is repair any holes or gouges with wood filler or 2-part wood filler. I use Bondo. Hang on, let me grab some. I'll show you. Okay, I use either this, which for the dresser that I'm working on, I filled the holes of the drawer pulls. But then I turned around and I had to put this on top of that because there was circles where the knobs were and the wood filler was just sanding all the way away. So you would use this stainable, I know you can't see it because it's backwards, but stainable wood filler if you're going to repair any furniture piece parts that you want to be able to stain after, okay? Otherwise, I use this. This is Bondo all-purpose putty. It's a 2-part deal here. So, it comes like this. This is floating around in this little cap when you buy it. Okay? When you open it, hang on. Okay, when you open it, it'll be like this on the inside. Okay? And it's stinky. So if you're going to use a lot of, you know what, I probably should wear some type of mask when I use it, but I don't. You take a good amount of this, and I'll try to catch a video of me mixing some of this. And I just put it on a piece of cardboard, and then you take just a little bit of this. You get a little tiny thing of this for a whole jar of this, so it only takes a little. The more you use of this, the faster the paste that you make is going to dry to solid. So I'm still not great at it. Obviously, I'm almost out of this and I still have this much of this. But you mix it up and then you fill whatever you want to fill. Let me show you what I've used it on right now. Okay, so I had filled the holes on this with the wood filler. Not because I wanted to restain it, but because it was convenient for me to use that tube. But I still had to use the Bondo, which I should have just used the Bondo to start. But I got a corner here that's kind of broken. Now this is hard, and I'll sand this and then I will do this again. So I'll take a video of that when I do it to build up this corner because there was a big piece missing here. So I'm using this to build up the corner. I use the Bondo. I prefer it the most. It's super strong. When you buy pieces of furniture that have really busted feet, it's really good to rebuild the feet if you kind of need to rebuild the feet. It's gonna dry eventually, rock hard, and you can paint it, and it makes it really easy to work with. So that's the Bondo. You know what? I'll sand this now, and then I'll come back and film mixing some. Okay, hang on. Okay, here I'm going to move you around here. So, I just take a piece of scrap cardboard, whatever, and I get a little bit of this on there. Okay, it's pretty soupy. Alright, that's what I put on there. Alright, then I take that much maybe. So it looks like that. Okay. Then I mix it up. I feel like my camera's foggy. Okay, I just smear it around here. Okay, and this is I can smell the chemical reaction. It's already going to start working its magic. So then I'm working on this corner here, working on building that up. Okay, and here I've fast forwarded this a little bit because I didn't think to get a good camera angle, but I'm just putting more Bondo on that and building up the corner a little bit more so that I can sand it back and finish the edge. Okay, so this is already starting to get hard. See? Now it's almost like this. And in just a couple more minutes, or seconds really, this will be hard and I won't be able to pull that off of there. So. Okay, so now it's like hard. It's like almost like rubber. So that is Bondo. Okay, see? You can't even tell. Well, once it's painted, you won't even be able to tell that I put a whole new corner on there with the Bondo. Now, I gotta sand just a touch to blend that in just a hair, but yeah, so Bondo. Okay, next. Once you're done repairing and sanding, you're going to want to clean your piece. You can spray it and wipe it off if you want. I recommend a bucket of water and a rag, and you wash it with water. It's any soap, water, whatever, rag, but a full bucket. And I'll show you why when I'm all done. I use TSP, trisodium phosphate. You can buy this at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's the same stuff that they use in White Lightning, which Dixie Belle sells. I wash my pieces inside and out. Pull the drawers, clean on the inside of your piece, people. I'm making this video for a friend of mine who wants to repaint some side tables, but I've decided I'm going to go ahead and post this whole thing on YouTube because I think it's going to be pretty informative. However, let me show you something. All right, let me take you inside and show you why. All right, see that? Wash that out of your dresser or piece of furniture, okay? This is why you pull the drawers, you wash the drawers, you wash the insides. You know, this gives you a chance to check out your tracks, make sure they're in good shape, make sure you're not having any issues there. Just wash the whole piece. I have used Awesome in the past and it's done okay. I use TSP and you wash it and then you come back with water and wipe any residue off from the TSP. So using TSP, you have to rinse your piece. Okay. All right. Okay. I figured I'd talk a little bit about TSP. TSP is trisodium phosphate. It is a deglosser. Okay. It will also help in aiding with your paint sticking to your piece of furniture. When you're washing your piece down, take a chance or take some time to get acquainted with your piece. This, I'm noticing, has a lot of scratches on the top. I'm going to have to sand this. This, I don't know, I tried to get this off with some Goo Gone. I'll probably sand that off. My client wants this piece of furniture, the top, painted. So that's a little bit more forgiving than if she wanted it stained. I'm also noticing on the legs down here, there's some wood detail on all four pieces that are popping off, and I had only noticed it on one of the legs to start, and I had glued all of the wood detail back, and now I just noticed like more of it's falling off on the other leg, so I popped all of it off, and I'm going to use the Bondo to fill in and sand it, and I will flip this over and do that to the legs once I'm done washing it. And then I'll have to wash it again because I'll get Bondo dust everywhere. But that's what I'm gonna do. I wanted to mention on this piece, even though the top of that looks like real wood, it is actually veneer over particle board. So had she wanted it stained, I probably would have had to strip it with chemical stripper and then carefully sand it so that I didn't burn through the veneer, and then stain it. But luckily she wanted it painted, which made life easier as far as that goes. Okay, I'm going to show you why you use a bucket of water. That's why. Look at all that dirt. So, whole bucket, people. That's what I would do. So, now I'm gonna come back and do the same thing just with water and rinse everything off that I've washed. Then I'm gonna flip this thing upside down, wash the bottom, and then fix those legs, and I'll show what that entails. Right. So as you can see, I put Bondo on the feet of this piece so that I could, because they had wooden pieces here, but they all were falling off. So I have washed it, wiped it off again after sanding, and I'm gonna go ahead and prime this part while I have it upside down, and then I'll flip it around and tape off the edges and prime the whole piece. So that's where we are right now. Okay, so I'm waiting for my first coat of primer on the bottom of this to dry so I can put a second coat. I am taping some of my drawers. You don't have to. I think it looks more professional to have clean edges on your paint, on your finish, and you're going to run into some situation with your drawers while you're painting, so this is how I handle it. On this particular set of drawers, there's a nice big lip here, so I am just going to tape that off all the way around. And while I'm painting, I don't have to be quite so careful when I get to this spot. Okay. You certainly do not have to do this, but with particle board, it is much harder to sand if you do end up getting extra paint on the sides. Okay, so what I've done here is I have taped off everywhere that I do not want paint. You don't have to do this, but it looks sloppy if you don't, and I really prefer a clean finish even on the insides of the drawers. So take this off, and then now I'm going to prime. Here I'm just using Zinsser 123 primer to prime my piece. I do recommend priming any piece that you're going to paint. Even when I was using DIY paint, I would probably go ahead and prime it. Just makes for a cleaner look. Okay, primed the dresser. Now you take this is a 120 grit sanding sponge, but it's probably a little less than that. And I just go over the whole thing to knock down any peaks that I may run into. I'm not really sanding it off. I'm just knocking down peaks so that later on when I have paint on there, if there's a peak and you knock it off, then you're going to see the white primer underneath, and then you're going to want to punch yourself because you didn't do it right the first time. So knock it down, sanding it back a little bit, and then I'm going to do another coat of primer. Okay, so one of the big things that you can do to really change the look of a piece of furniture that you're working on, especially dressers, is if you change the hardware. So on this particular dresser that I'm working on, the hardware, this is the hardware that was on the dresser I'm working on. Now I've saved it because these are nice flat knobs. They're kind of cheap and wooden, but you can by transfers or molds and put something on there to make them decorative, but we're not sticking with these. So my client picked out this hardware. So I think that's pretty cute for what she wants. For the drawer poles, and then we've got a few knobs. This particular dresser has 7 drawers with a door. So we're going to put knobs on the top 3 drawers and these poles on the side drawers. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do, I think I might do a knob on the door. I was going to do one of the drawer poles, but I like the knobs, so that's going to be what we go with. So to do that, to change the hardware sometimes it just works out and everything lines up the way you want it, and that's rare, to be honest with you. So what I do is I take my drawer, fill in the holes. I talked about this earlier with Bondo or wood filler. For this I did both actually, because there was a little, I don't know if you can see it, but there was a little circle from the knob before that didn't get filled in with the wood filler. So I measure and find the center, and then I figure out about where I want my drawer pull. And this one I don't want it in the middle of this line. I want it a little bit, it's about 3/4 of an inch above that line for the drawer pull. So that's where we're going with that. So you take your drill and you figure out how big a hole you need. You don't want it too big because you don't want it floppy, and some handles, there's like an inset. I'm not going to go into it right now because these are not that. So you mark your spots, you mark your holes, and then you drill the holes. And I'm doing this before I do the finish because I don't want to tear it. The wood might split a little bit, and you got to clean it up, and it's a lot harder to do when you already have the finish on the wood. So yes. So I'm going to drill the holes out, and then I'm going to put my second coat of primer on these drawers. All right. Okay. Here's what we've done. We have repaired the dresser, or the piece of furniture you're working on. We have cleaned it with TSP. We have rinsed the residue off from that. We have drilled the holes for the hardware. And now we have primed it with 2 coats of primer, and we have sanded in between both coats, knocking off the peaks with a sanding block. And now we're getting ready to put the first coat of paint on the piece of furniture. I am doing a decorative finish, but this works for non-decorative finishes, even if you're gonna do one solid color. I'm using Dixie Belle chalk paint. I do recommend using a high quality chalk paint. I have used Krylon chalk paint from Home Depot before to paint a piece of furniture. I did not try to blend that piece of furniture. It was a table. But I can tell you that it took like 4 coats of paint, and the paint definitely, it was harder to work with. So the higher quality, more expensive paint is easier to work with. You get better coverage, and I'm talking about, now I have used Dixie Belle, I have used DIY chalk paint, or DIY clay-based paint, excuse me, and I have used Annie Sloan chalk paint. There's a few other types of chalk paint out there. I am open to trying them. I have not tried them yet. There's Miss Lillian's no wax chalk paint. There is Wise Owl. There's a few other types, but those are the types that I have tried. Right today, I'm going to be using Dixie Belle. Okay. On a side note, when you open up a brand new thing of paint, you're not going to have this problem, but a lot of times with paint you've already opened, you can't get it open, so you smash it on the floor. Try to get it. All you do is, and it cracks the whatever's got it stuck. So now I can open it. And a lot of times there will be a skin on the inside. Now I don't have one on here, and if I do, it's floating around in there somewhere because I shook it up. But if you see a skin, I mean, this is a little bit, pull it out of there and throw it away. It's just gonna gum up your finish and it's gonna be in your way. Doesn't happen every time, but that's all you need to do with that. If you open it up and there's like a film on the top that's solid that you can pick up, just pull it out of there and throw it away.
So you can't hardly see it here, but I have taken sidewalk chalk and marked on the dresser where I want that line to be because I'm using Bunker Hill blue, and then there's going to be a small line of peacock in the middle. And I've done this in chalk just so that I have a guide about where I want my paint to go. So that's kind of what I'm following here. I'm also going to mention, because I don't think I do anywhere else, I did end up doing 3 coats of paint on this. Maybe I did mention that later, but I put the first coat on and it's a little streaky, and then the second coat there was still some streaks, and then I did the third coat of the Bunker Hill blue and the white, and at that point I only had 1 coat of the peacock in the middle. So then I went back and did 2 more coats of peacock to make that stripe on the dresser. And I did that intentionally because I knew I wanted the edges of the peacock to look a certain way, and if I kept covering it up with the Bunker Hill blue and the cotton, it wouldn't turn out how I wanted it to.
Okay. You've got your first coat of paint on your piece. You're going to go through and lightly knock the peaks down again. Okay? That's it. And when you're done with that, you're going to take a tack cloth and wipe any of the dust off. And I recommend a tack cloth over a wet washcloth because you're using chalk paint. Could wipe the paint off because it is not completely, like, it won't necessarily stay put until you seal it, so you might end up wiping some of the paint off. But if you use a tack cloth, you're less likely to wipe a bunch of paint off. So do that next. Okay, I want to take a minute to say that this would be the time, if you see any heavy drips, that you go ahead and sand those flat and fix them. And then be very careful when you're doing your next layer of paint to not recreate them in your finish. You can sand them with the sandy block, you can take sandpaper and sand it all the way down. Whatever you gotta do, smooth it out.
I do want to say I did end up having to sand back a little bit underneath the edge on both sides of the dresser down to the wood, and then carefully repair the finish. And then here I am putting the second coat of paint on the Bunker Hill blue, and then eventually the cotton. I am using water to, it just helps with smoothing the paint finish a bit. It's a spray bottle, it's a continuous spray bottle. You can get that on Amazon.
Okay, so I have ran into a situation with the dresser. I was originally going to go ahead and paint the hinges on that door, and once I got the 2 coats of paint on the dresser, I really didn't like how it looked. So then I've decided, well, I'm going to take those hinges off. Now I have to clean them, and I'm going to do gold leafing on them. I'm going over what you'll do to clean your hardware. Let's say you were going to use original hardware on a dresser and it was a mess. So what I use is 50% water, 50% vinegar, and hardware overnight. Okay, and right now this is my hinges, and now I'm going to take just soapy water and a cleaning brush and brush these off, and then we'll come back. Okay, so here is my hardware hinges. I did end up having to use some nail polish remover. So if I hadn't painted over these, the vinegar and water, and then after soap and water with a scrub brush probably would have been enough to get these clean. But I was trying to get them to blend in with the paint job, and they got too gummy. So that's that. So yes, vinegar and water for your hardware in a bowl, totally submerged overnight, and then wash them. Don't leave your hardware in the vinegar and water for more than 24 hours, because it can, especially with less quality hardware, it can start eating away at whatever the material is that it's made of. So it could be metal, it could be, sometimes it's plastic, sometimes, so it'll start to break it down. So there you go. Okay, so I had some pretty major drips here, so I had to sand it back almost to the wood, and I got 1 coat of paint on there. This is where the hinge was, and I taped off where the hinge is going to go. I tape it off because I've had a problem in the past where I went to put the hinge back on, and because of the thickness of the paint that it was there, it messed up how the door would shut. So I've taped off where the hinge will go. You can see there I still need to put the white back on there. And I'm letting these dry so that I can get 2 coats on them, and then I will put my 3rd coat of paint over the whole piece. It is going to take 3 coats of paint, which I'm not surprised because it's a dark color. It's kind of hard to catch with the telephone camera, but there's a little bit of peeking through of the lightness, and it's a little streaky. 1 more coat of paint will take care of that. So that's where we are. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm gold leafing this hardware. So I'm doing the screw heads. Kind of hard to see. And the hinges. So I started this off camera. So I'm using metal leaf gilding adhesive, and you paint it on the whatever you want to gold leaf, and then it paints on like a light blue, and then as it turns clear, that's when you're supposed to put your gold leaf on. It gets tacky, and then I'll let it dry overnight. Anything you're not sure how long you should let it dry overnight. That's probably your best bet. Okay, with the brush on adhesive, I did notice you could see the brush strokes. So I did take some 3M77 spray adhesive and do this again. And it turned out a little bit smoother on the hinges for the gold leafing. Okay, so we have put 2 coats of paint on the dresser, and I have lightly sanded back the last coat, and I have gold leafed the hinges, so they look like this. I think they turned out really nice. And I have repaired the door where the hinges were and painted that, And then I have painted the door with 3 coats of Bunker Hill blue, and I went ahead and put the top coat on there because what I'm planning on doing is I'm gonna do a gold leaf stencil on the inside of this door, and when I get to that I'll film that. Okay.
Here I'm just putting the third and final coat of paint on the dresser. I do this to the drawers too, of course, and I'm using water just to help smooth the brush strokes out on the dresser.
Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to put gold leaf stenciling on the inside of this door. This is the door that's going to go on the dresser, and when it opens up I want something special right here. Now, I'm filming this. I have not done this successfully yet. I'm hoping today is the day. I have tried in the past and it has been a big flop, but I have been watching Brandy Collenborn and hopefully this works. So I have got 3M Super 77 multi-purpose adhesive. I've painted this and I have put a top coat of polyacrylic on here, 2 coats. So I don't want any stenciling on this part. I just want it on the inside here. So I'm going to take this off well, because I'm going to be using the spray adhesive. I'm going to use the spray adhesive on this to stick it here, and then I'm going to use the spray adhesive on this, and then you take this off and you put your gold leaf down and then brush off what is not on the sticky parts. So it's a little bit of a process. The problem with the spray adhesive is you have less control over it than the stuff that you brush on. I'm not sure how I would do it. I don't think you can do this with stenciling and brush on stuff. So this is how we're going to do it. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, I'm only going to try once. I've tried before and tried a couple times and it ended up being a big mess. And so I'm going to give this one shot and hopefully it works. So I'm going to tape this off so that I don't get any spray adhesive on the parts that I don't want adhesive on, because as you're doing the gold leafing, it will stick to anything where the adhesive is. Okay?
I want to say I'm really glad that I did take this off. It definitely helped.
Okay. So I don't know if it's necessary to do all this taping. I'm doing it to make sure I don't get anything where I don't want it. It's hard to say. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't done this successfully yet, so hopefully it works. So my stencil is bigger than the rest of my area that I'm going to use, and I'm going to spray this side because this side has got a bunch of stuff on it that didn't come off the last time. It's got actually old adhesive from when I tried this before. So, shoe. I'm gonna go spray this in the yard. I don't want to get spray adhesive everywhere. Hang on. Okay, so I've done a light spray over this. The instructions say let it dry for a few minutes so that it's tacky. So I'm going to do that before I stick it here. Okay. So that is the right side up. What I want. Okay. Now I have to decide. Now I think I'm going to go for this kind of look.
This is the Damask stencil by Dixie Belle. I really like this stencil. I think it's really pretty. Kind of pushing down any parts that I can. I really hope this works because I really want it to. Alright. Now you spray some of this. Where you want your gold leafing. Hopefully that's enough. I don't really know how much is enough or too much. So, I do know that to clean this, you should probably use citrus strip. I've tried Gluon, I've tried Civil Water, I've tried everything, nothing works. I'll probably have to use citrus strip because I've got this thoroughly sticky now. So, that's fine. Okay, now, gold leafing. If you have adhesive on your hands, it's going to stick to you, and this is going to be a mess, so be prepared. I am going to speed up putting the gold leaf on here. The gold leafing that I bought is from Michael's. It's called Craft Smart. It comes in 25 sheets, and what you do is you carefully, you'll see, you put it on here, and then you brush away with a stiff brush any excess that isn't supposed to be where you put it on the sticky part. You'll see what I mean. All right.
I wanted to mention that I bought 3 packs of gold leafing for this project, and I ended up using 1.5 packs of 25 sheets of gold leafing, including the gold leafing I used for the door, for the hinges, and for the striping.
Okay, so I've got all the gold leaf on here, and I am going to start just dusting away what's not stuck down, and hopefully we'll be able to see some kind of design come through.
Again, I just wanted to mention, you'll be able to tell I did end up getting some overspray where that tape was, so I was really glad that I had it covered. See right there, it wasn't perfect crisp lines. That was okay for the look that I was going for, but I definitely did not want any gold leafing on the edge there, so tape off what you don't want if you're not sure.
Okay, I'm going to say this is successful. So this is how this turned out, and I'm really happy with it. There's a little extra on the sides, but that's okay for what I want. This is just inside the door detail, and I think it's going to look really cute. I'm super excited. Okay, so what we're doing next is I am going to top coat the dresser. I'm going to put 2 coats of gator hide on top, and then I'm going to use regular Minwax polyacrylic on this part and the drawers. And I'm using gator hide on the top because it's more durable, and I don't know how much traffic the woman that's paying for this is going to have on top of her dresser, but a lot of times you have a lot of traffic on the tops of dressers, especially this height. So you use gator hide when you want extra durability and water resistance. So that's what we're going to do with this, and then
once I've got the top coats on, I'm going to show you how I deal with streaks, because I always have streaks, especially when I'm using a water-based top coat, gator hide or otherwise. And I've figured out a trick for keeping that from happening, so we'll do that next. I've tried many tricks to keep from getting a streaky finish, and none of them work for me. Doesn't mean they will work for you. I have tried blending gel, I have tried some water, so this is just the method that works for me, but I encourage you to try anything you want if you can find something better.
Okay, so we have put 2 coats of gator hide on here, and I did sand lightly in between coats. And I personally cannot apply polyacrylic or gator hide without getting streaks in my finish. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so I don't know how well this is going to translate on the phone, but you can see like brush strokes, and I mean, it's protected and it's sealed, but it doesn't look as pretty as I would like. So what I have figured out how to do, or what to do about it, is I take a can of polyacrylic and do a light drop coat on the top, 1, maybe 2 coats, depending on how it dries. If you spray your top coat with, I don't even know if it's a machine or what, because I don't have one, you won't run into this problem. But I don't have one of those machines, and so this is the best that I've got right now, and it works pretty good. So I will show you that. I will say it's not a bad idea to cover the things in the vicinity to protect them from overspray. I have not, because I don't have everything that I would need for it, and my plan is to get some sheets from a thrift store so that I can cover the stuff, but I don't have that right now, so everything's gonna get a little bit on it, and that's fine, because I don't really have anything in here that's that important. My husband said that this is a drop coat. This isn't really how you spray something. It's more like you kind of spray over top of it and let it settle. So I'll do this, and then I'll let it dry, see how it looks. And if it doesn't really solid the brush strokes and things on there, I'll do it again. I had a black buffet that I worked on, and this really took care of that problem for me. So we'll see how that dries. Okay, on this particular piece, my client wanted some gold leaf in the turquoise stripe that goes along with the, well, really close, goes along with the picture that she sent me for what she wanted. So I am going to take metal leaf gilding adhesive and paint it on. It goes on kind of light blue, and then you let it dry so it's clear, and then it's tacky, and then you put your gold leaf on the piece and brush away any excess. And one thing I'll say about gold leaf is when you're using it, and I forgot to mention this earlier, don't bother with a broom, because you're just gonna stir it up and get it everywhere. Just when you're finished using it, vacuum the leftovers, because they'll go up in the air, they'll get everywhere. So just use your vacuum. Okay. Okay, so I haven't actually done this on a piece yet, so I'm only doing one spot to start. So that will be going around the entire piece of the furniture. So we will get going on that.
I just wanted to take a minute here to say I did one coat of polyacrylic on the piece, then I did the gold leafing, then I did another coat of polyacrylic, and then the drop coat on everything to have the finish completed.
Okay, so we put the top coat on. I've done a drop coat on everything, the front and everything, and now I've started taking off the tape. And you can see here, I'll show you, hang on. This is why I tape it off. This will be hidden, this little bit here will be hidden by the drawer itself, but it is a much cleaner look than if I hadn't covered it with tape. So that is why I do that. So once I get the rest of this tape off, I will put the hardware on the drawers and reattach the door to here. And add the hinges in that, and then I have a little bit of wax detailing that I want to do, and I also am going to have to flip this whole thing upside down and paint basically underneath this lip and down here, because I just didn't do that before, because it's just easier if you flip the piece upside down and do the feet separately. So I'll flip the whole thing upside down, paint, top coat, and then it'll be ready to ship. And then I will go over that too. So to be continued. Okay, and we are all finished with the dresser. I think it turned out really nice, and I'm pretty sure my client's gonna be really happy with it. I'm going to post a separate video of my shipping process, and I'll do it start to finish with this piece, because this piece is going to Miami. So I hope that I was able to answer any questions that y'all might have. If there are more questions after watching this video, please feel free to leave the questions in the comments, and I'll reply to everybody. So yeah. I'll post some staged pictures of this too at the end of this video. All right, take care.